The phone rings at 3 in the morning. The email arrives with words you never wanted to read. The doctor calls you back into the room with different eyes than before. In these moments, most people make the same mistake. They hand over command of their mind to the shock itself. Musonius Rufus understood something profound about these moments. He taught that the first minute after receiving devastating news is not about the news itself.
It is about whether you will remain the commander of your own judgment or abdicate that throne to whatever chaos wants to rule. The Stoics called this the Citadel, not a place of hiding, but a fortress of protected thinking. When the unexpected strikes, your judgment can remain your own, even as your heart acknowledges the full weight of reality.
Here is what most people miss. There is a difference between receiving information and surrendering your authority to process it. Bad news does not require bad thinking. Shock does not demand the abandonment of wisdom. The first teaching of Musonius was simple but revolutionary. The news itself has no power over your capacity to think clearly about it. The diagnosis exists, the loss has occurred, the crisis has arrived, but none of these facts can touch your ability to respond with intention rather than reflex.
Consider this practically.
The moment shocking information reaches you, your mind will want to race toward conclusions, catastrophic projections, or complete denial. Musonius would say, let it want these things, but do not follow where it leads. Your judgment remains separate from your initial emotional reaction. The second principle involves what the Stoics call the discipline of desire. When bad news arrives, we immediately want reality to be different than it is. Diagnosis to be wrong, the loss to be reversible, the crisis to be manageable. This wanting becomes a second layer of suffering on top of the original difficulty. Musonius taught his students to practice a different response. Accept that reality is exactly as it appears to be right now, while maintaining complete authority over what you will do with that reality.
This is not passive resignation, it is the most active stance possible.
You are choosing to work with what exists, rather than exhausting yourself fighting what cannot be changed. The third element of the Citadel method concerns the protection of your decision-making capacity. Shocking news creates what we might call judgment fog, a state where clear thinking becomes almost impossible because emotion has flooded the rational mind. The Stoics developed a specific technique for this. When overwhelming information arrives, immediately ask yourself, what can I actually control in this situation right now? Not tomorrow, not in the long term, but in this specific moment. Usually, the answer is surprisingly small and surprisingly manageable. You can control whether you breathe deeply or hold your breath. You can control whether you sit down or pace frantically. You can control whether you call someone who will help you think clearly or someone who will amplify the chaos. These small choices preserve your agency when everything else feels out of control. The fourth teaching addresses what Musonius called the open heart within the protected mind. Many people believe that clear thinking during crisis requires emotional shutdown. This is a fundamental misunderstanding of Stoic practice. The Citadel method involves feeling the full impact of difficult news while maintaining your capacity to respond wisely to it. Acknowledge that you are devastated while refusing to let devastation make your decisions. You can be afraid while not letting fear determine your next actions. This creates what the ancient Stoics recognized as true courage, not the absence of difficult emotions, but the preservation of wisdom in their presence. Your heart can break and your mind can remain steady. These are not contradictory states. The fifth principle concerns the timeline of response. When shocking news arrives, there is enormous pressure to react immediately, to have a plan, to know what comes next. Musonius taught that this pressure itself is often more destructive than the original problem. Protected judgment means protecting your right to process information at the speed of wisdom rather than the speed of panic. Most truly important decisions can wait at least a few hours for clear thinking. Very few crises are made worse by taking time to respond thoughtfully, rather than immediately. Crisis. This means practicing these principles when stakes are low, so they are available when stakes become overwhelming.
Each small disappointment becomes training for larger difficulties.
When someone cancels plans, practice accepting the new reality immediately. rather than spending energy wishing it were different. When minor problems arise at work, practice asking what you can control right now, rather than worrying about all possible future complications. These small practices build the mental muscles that serve you when real catastrophe arrives. The person who has learned to maintain clear judgment during minor setbacks has the foundation for maintaining clear judgment during major crises. The deepest insight of Musonius was this: your judgment is the one thing that truly belongs to you. External events can take your health, your relationships, your security, but they cannot take your capacity to think clearly about what they have taken, unless you surrender that capacity voluntarily. The citadel holds because you choose to hold it. In the first minute of bad news, in the first hour of uncertainty, in the first day of crisis, your judgment can remain your own. This is not about being unfeeling. This is about being unconquerable. If this moved you, comment "The Citadel holds" below. It is our sign that you carry the philosophy with you. Subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.